Welcome to Living in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm Evan Deal, and on today's episode, we're not talking about love. We did that in another video. No, we're talking about hate. What do I hate about Indianapolis? I've covered it in the suburbs. You can check out those videos if you want to. Talked about love in the city, but today we are talking about why I hate things about Indianapolis. So, before we get started, leave a like on this video. You can like the hate, I guess. I don't know, that sounds weird, but leave a like on this video. Hit the subscribe button and ring that notification bell so that you're kept in the loop on everything that I like and hate about Indianapolis, and you're here for all of it. All right, let's get started. All right, it's no secret to anyone who watches this channel regularly that I love Indianapolis. I live here in the Indianapolis area and I absolutely love it. But not everything's perfect here. So I'm gonna talk about what I hate today and what you might hate too if you move here. So I've talked about the suburbs. We're not gonna talk about the suburbs very much today. I'm gonna focus on the city. And I would be remiss if I didn't start with the absolute worst thing in Indianapolis, and that is the constant construction. If you live here or you've driven through here, you will understand. Oh my, you will understand. In our winter, it freezes and unfreezes, freezes and unfreezes, and it can't make up its mind on if it wants to be super cold or not. And when that happens, oh boy, the asphalt does not like it. No, you get enough cars driving over asphalt that's taken a beating from the weather, and you get, what do you get? Potholes, erosion, damage. Oh man, you know what that means? Somebody's gotta come fix it. And who's gonna fix it? That's right, the city of Indianapolis, the state government, depending on the road, and they have a lot to do. Indianapolis is a big city, right? One of the biggest in the country. People think it's a lot smaller than it is, but no, the metro area of Indianapolis ranks up there with just about anywhere. I mean, we're not Los Angeles, we're not Phoenix, we're not Houston, we're not New York, but Indianapolis is big. It's in the teens consistently. So that's a lot of road to cover. You know, we're the crossroads of America. We got all these crossroads going which way. That means you're going to be dealing with construction in Indianapolis. It's just a part of life here. When do they do the construction? Well, it seems like year round, honestly, as a resident here. A lot of times it's in the warmer months. So when they can work consistently without snow and ice on the ground. So you got to make sure the asphalt's at the right temperature, and you get your workers out in safe conditions. So a lot of times during some of the warmer months, spring, summer, you're going to be dealing with construction around the city, on the interstates, some of the city streets, and some, they can't work everywhere all at once. So some areas have to deal with it longer than other areas. And that can get very frustrating. You go on 465, you can swerve around a pothole. You go on, some of the side streets, maybe you're on Fall Creek up in the Northeast. It can take kind of a beating, and it's a 2-lane road. So there are lots of different examples on which roads are going to have which damage. You're going to deal with construction, and I hate that, but it's a part of life. What else do I hate? You know what I hate? I hate winter, because winter is the cause of that construction. So 3 months of the year, Indianapolis weather is tip-top. I highly recommend it. It is humid here during the summers, but I don't think humidity is that big a deal, personally. Some people are like, oh, I can't handle it. I don't think it's that big a deal. Summer feels nice. You take a dip in the pool or you go run around, whatever. I'm not going to complain about nice hot weather with bright, beautiful sunshine and blue skies. No, nor am I going to complain about the nice moderate temperatures in the spring and the fall. Oh, peak weather, in my opinion. And if you live in the Midwest, you know what I mean. Now, if you live too far north in the Midwest, you may say, oh, it gets cold in October. Not so much here. It's a nice temperature in September, October, even parts in November. It starts to get colder in November towards the end. Spring, same thing. It's a little bit colder in March. April's pretty good. May is peak weather. Just outside of Indianapolis and Bloomington. Oh, May and Bloomington. That's like peak weather in the world, in my opinion. I've been a lot of places, so maybe not peak over Hawaii, but you know what I mean. It's a great place to live. However, winter, oh boy, no. It's not as bad as like Chicago. You're not going to get as much snow as Michigan or Minnesota, where there's more bodies of water surrounding you. But oh boy, winter in Indiana is not fun. In Indianapolis, People can kind of grind to a halt sometimes if it's snowing too much and they're driving to work on the interstate. And dealing with that, it can be annoying. So if you're looking at places to live, think about strategically what your commute's going to look like. Are you driving downtown? Maybe you want to pick a community where that's a lot more of a straight shot. You're not dealing with ice on all sorts of crazy streets. Maybe you work in Carmel and you want to live, in Carmel or Westfield, making it a little bit easier to get around. Or you work in Fishers, you're looking at Fishers, Noblesville, Geist, McCordsville. It's important to plan because winter is a serious season here. It's not as bad as some areas, but it's definitely something to consider. It does get cold. It can get snowy and icy. Not as much as places north of here, but definitely if you're moving from the south, coming up from Tennessee, coming up from Texas, it's something to plan for. So what else do I hate in Indianapolis? Honestly, not a whole lot. There's a lot going on here that's positive. And if you want to learn all about it, be sure to check out what I love about Indianapolis and what I love about the Indianapolis suburbs. If you want to learn more about the hate, you should check out the what I hate about the Indianapolis suburbs video, because you can dive into the hate there. But here's what I hate. I've talked about how amazing our sports culture is in Indianapolis and in Indiana as a whole. And it really is. It's amazing. I would put it against any sports culture in the US. Lots of other great places with love sports, Texas football, football and I think basketball too in Pennsylvania. You have Boston winning championships and everything all the time. New York's crazy about sports. Indianapolis, oh man, we love sports here. Here's my beef that I hate. We are considered a small market, which I get it from a television standpoint. They're always going to hate us. They always favor, the biggest cities, right? New York, Los Angeles. I get that. Miami, it's fine. I get that. We're used to it. But the discourse around Indianapolis sports and Indiana sports is crazy. Indianapolis is not a small city. Now, in terms of media markets, yes, there are bigger ones. There are cities like Phoenix or Houston. They have bigger populations. I get it. Indianapolis is not like a small city by any means at all. So the discourse around our sports is crazy. We also are a little more limited than some other cities because we don't have a Major League Baseball team. We have a AAA minor league team, the Indianapolis Indians. Really fun place to go see games, by the way, Victory Field. Sort of near Lucas Oil, if you're going to see a Colts game. Different times of the year, for the most part. We also don't have a NHL team for hockey. So we've got minor league hockey with Indy Fuel, who play in Fishers now. But we're a big enough city that we have two, major professional sports. We also have the Indiana Fever in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark, the number one most popular WNBA player, is here in Indianapolis. We have Pat McAfee, a major sports show. Love him or hate him, we love him. He's our guy. That's Boomstick, our punter. Took out Holiday on the punt return, if you remember that. Been at WrestleMania. He's here. He's here in Indianapolis because he loves Indianapolis. He understands how amazing of a city it is. He's not from here. He went to West Virginia for college. He's from the Pittsburgh area, I think. But he stays here because he loves it. And we love him. And we love all our sports legends here. So the discourse around Indianapolis sports is so dumb and it's so unappreciated because sports here are crazy. And you'll hear announcers talk about it. The NBA Finals, right? The Pacers are playing the Thunder and the crowds were crazy. And they're really crazy at both places. I think they were crazier at Gainbridge. The Thunder have a great arena too with a great passionate fan base. But the national media will act like, oh, it's whatever, these, random teams, instead of promoting them equally alongside the New York teams, alongside the Lakers teams. I understand that those teams have bigger fan bases because they have bigger populations. That's totally fine. But it's crazy how disrespected Indianapolis is. So that is something I hate here because there's no reason for the disrespect. We've been to a couple Super Bowls with the Colts. We've now been to a couple NBA Finals with the Pacers. Just a little shy. I think if Hallie doesn't get injured, we might win that game. And, we're going to get a chip there eventually. The Colts will hopefully get another one. I think it's going to happen eventually. But the disrespect, I hate it. All right, one more thing I hate about Indianapolis, the city itself, is in some of the residential areas of the city, you have a little bit less infrastructure than you have in the suburbs. Like the way the suburbs have been planned out, because Indianapolis is a pretty old city at this point, right? Relatively speaking, for American cities, we're not Boston or one of the coastal cities in the original 13 colonies, but Indiana's been around since like 1816, so as a state and a territory before that. So Indianapolis is quite an old city, not the original capital of Indiana. But then they planned it on here because of the White River, even though the White River is not deep enough for major transport like other major American cities. But you have pockets within Indianapolis that the infrastructure in terms of daily conveniences is just not that convenient. And I'm talking in the city. In the suburbs, you have pockets of that. Franklin Township, they could stand to have more infrastructure. That's actually part of Indianapolis. It's not its own city. It's in the southeast. You have Westfield, their infrastructure's on the come up, same for McCordsville. But for the most part, the infrastructure is really good in the suburbs. Greenwood, Carmel, Fishers, Zionsville has a cool downtown. Avon has Rockville Road, etc. The list goes on, right? In Indianapolis, depending on where you are, you're going to have different options on what that infrastructure looks like and how readily available it is to you. You may be sitting at some stoplights, some city stoplights to wait and get down quite a ways to your grocery store. Your laundry facilities, if you don't have laundry in your home, it may take you a minute to get there. It's not a walkable city. And that's ultimately what I'm getting at here, is that depending on the pocket of the city you live in across the interior of Indianapolis, you're gonna have a different experience because communities are formed differently. The amount of available utilities, whether it's healthcare, like your dentist's office, major hospitals, it's laid out differently depending on where you live. And the availability of it may be more limited because a lot of these areas were developed a long time ago, and so they have more residential opportunities. So it's just something to think about and really work with me. Work with me. If you want to work with someone else, you can do that. But if you're here still in the video, let's work together. We know each other already. So let's plan that out together on how that's going to work for your day-to-day life and what your commute looks like. So just something to think about, because I hate that it's not more convenient in some of the older areas of Indianapolis. So that's all the hate that's in my heart today. I don't have much hate. I love this city. What an awesome place to live. So yes, you can hate the lack of public transport. You can hate, that it's not quite as convenient in some of the residential areas of Indianapolis as it is, in the wider Indy metro area. You can hate the weather here and the construction that causes, but on the whole, the pros outweigh the cons. So if you haven't watched the love video, you gotta check out the love video because there's so much love here. Indianapolis is an awesome place to live. And if you're looking to move here, look below, look at my contact info, shoot me a text, email, call, let's hop on a video call, whatever works best for you. I'm here to help. Thanks so much for watching. This is Living in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm Evan Deal. Before you go, leave a like, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell so that you can be here for the next one. We'll see you there.